Hi guys, video 7 of the Student Nurse Bootcamp. Woo! Okay, today I have overwhelming questions about instructors and study habits and organization. And you're going to find, I believe, most of you will find what you did before may not work as smooth for you as it did with your prereqs because things are just given really quick. And like I said in my prior videos, not in this series, but during my prereqs, how what really helped me a lot was coming home and rewriting my notes over. Well, I tried that in the very beginning and I was flopping around in the water because I just couldn't get through it all. I was trying to do my PowerPoints and trying to take from lecture and redoing them and organizing, and I was finding I started off strong, but I couldn't finish it all. So therefore, I wasn't able to reinforce the latter part of the lecture. So that went out the window. I tried to do that for a couple weeks. And then I tried to just re-listen to the lecture. I was trying to read every page in my book, and it was just overwhelming, and it was too much. And it was towards the end of my 16 weeks where I started figuring out what worked for me. And I ended up with a C in fundamentals. I was 1% from a B because I just didn't know a better way to study. But then with mental health and maternity and peds, my grades improved. I ended up getting A's in the end. So this is what worked for me finally. Okay, print out your lectures. I would put 4 to a page. And let me see if I can find, I think those are upstairs. I've showed them before. You know, where you can print out a slide individually on a piece of paper, but it's just going to be killing trees. It's just too much. Some people like to put 3 to a page, and then they have the lines that they can write notes across. And I started off with the 3, but I ended up going to the 4 just because of the amount of slides that we were given. So, and then under each slide there was space, so I would just write additional notes. So I would read the slides before class, at least skim over them. So, and I would have my recorder going. So as the instructor was talking, I was able to listen. And because I read ahead of time, I kind of caught what was extra. So I would write little bullet statements, not word for word, but just little bullet things, or if they mentioned a page, or anytime they mentioned a number or an amount or something like that, I would write that down if it wasn't in the PowerPoint. And many times they would say, you need to know this, or it would be smart to remember this, or they would repeat it more than once. I would star it and highlight it, because they're kind of giving you quiet indicators, but you need to pick up on those. It's not as obvious as I make it sound, but so I would do that. When it came to reading the text in my book, I would pay attention to the highlighted areas. For instance, key terms. If something was bolded, oh, this book is so heavy. Let me lift this up though. If it's in a table, if it is like tabbed, or you know, has little bullets in front of it, if it's bolded like a definition, that is need to know information. If they're going to go to that much trouble to do those, you need to know that information. What's in between it could be important as well, but that's the nice to know information. That's just a little bit of the fluff. I'm not saying it's not important, but when you're given so much, concentrate on what the instructors give you in the PowerPoints, because that's important information. Listen to them, things they emphasize, say again, tell you need to remember or know, write that down underneath so your notes are minimal. And then as far as the reading goes, know the terms. And usually in the beginning of each section, you know, you might get like a little vocabulary list. So learn those terms, and those will be bolded within the chapter, or you can look them up ahead of time. Pay attention to the objectives that they give you, because they have to teach you certain things. So they'll say in this chapter, the objectives are, those are the things they need to give you to learn. So when I would go to study for an exam or a test, I would re-look at those objectives, and if I could answer them, there you go. A lot of that is on the tests and exams. So that really helped a lot. And I would also re-listen to lecture. That was something I had to teach myself because I'm a visual person. I learn by color. So before, when I would rewrite my notes, I would rewrite them using color and highlighting and things like that, and I could remember things so well because of that. But with re-listening to lecture, that was kind of hard. So I realized if I was relaxed doing something I enjoyed, like cooking, I had my headphones in and I was re-listening to lecture, I would retain more than if I'm just sitting there bored because my mind just starts wandering. So if you're relaxed driving in the car, I would re-listen to lecture, and I kid you not, I got better at it. And during maternity, that was my very last class, I got an A in it. And during my final exam, there were questions on there, and I could hear my instructor's voice. I told her that, and she goes, "Oh, does that give you nightmare?" I mean, she was just really cute about it, but I could hear her voice because I listened to lecture. And if you can listen to it at least twice, because you're going to pick up on things the second time around that you missed the first time around. So if you like to work in your yard, or if your kids are at practice, you're watching the practice, but listen to your, because we all enjoy watching our children do things. Listen to your lecture. Cook, sew, scrapbook. I cleaned out my room, and I'm going to utilize that as my kind of downtime and break, when I give myself 10-minute breaks. That's another tip. Every hour, give yourself time to stand up and move around. It's a known fact. The first couple minutes of your study time and the last few minutes of your study time are what you remember the most. So if you keep your study sessions to every 30 minutes or every 45 minutes, and then you give yourself a 10-minute break, you will find you retain so much more than sitting in one spot for hour after hour after hour. Oh, trust me. It really, really does work. And you have to get around and get that blood pumping. It does make a difference. Your brain needs a break. Okay? And when you're doing something you enjoy and relaxing, like I'm going to do with my crafting or my scrapbooking, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to go work on a project that I have going on. You're using a different part of your brain. So you're able to just kind of balance that out. So when you come back, you're a little more refreshed and you're more apt to remember what you're going to start again. And then at the end of my study, I would just kind of recap what I went over. I would make sure I kind of remembered what I covered. And that was also a checkpoint if I skipped something or forgot something. If I was able to, if I wasn't too tired, I would go back and, go over that part. If I was too tired, I would tab it and I would start with that the next day. Something else that really worked for me is in the evening, I did stop at a decent time because I gave myself an hour or two, and this was time with my husband. This is when we would watch TV. Because before my first part of semester, I would, because it was so much, I would study until midnight or 1, and I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up and I was still stressed and I didn't sleep well and I just felt like I still didn't know anything. But when I stopped, I had to force myself to do this, and this was per his idea. This was my husband's idea. He's like, "You're not sleeping well. So, and you're not remembering anything anyway, or as much as you want to, so obviously what you're doing isn't working, so tweak it a little bit." He's like, "Why don't you stop a couple hours early? We'll watch a favorite show of ours." It could be something silly, or it could be a movie. I was much more relaxed when I went to bed. It was good quality time with him. I slept better because I was in bed by 10:30 at the latest. So I got from 10:30 until 5:30, all that sleep. I was functioning better. I was able to listen better in class. Your body needs it. And especially older students like myself, I'm 43, you need that extra time. You really do. But even growing bodies, my young babies out there, you need your sleep, okay? So cut yourself some slack and know you can't study 24/7. It's not going to work for you. Okay, let me get off that rant. Instructors, many of you are nervous because you hear horror stories about instructors, and I did too, and you get nervous. Listen, I did talk to friends of mine that I got to know a lot of nursing students because I studied a lot during my pre-reqs where they had their classes. I was in the break room, so I would see them come in often. I would listen to them as they were studying at another table. They got to see me, so we got to know each other. I did it because it kept me motivated, because I wanted to be in those scrubs. I wanted to do what they are doing. I wanted to be as stressed out as they were. And I love where I'm at now. And getting to know them, they're like, you're always here. And I'm like, I know. And, you know, you just get to talking. So then they would start giving you advice. And a lot of it is good advice. Sometimes they give you the lowdown on an instructor, not the lowdown, but, you know, they're like, oh, you know, he's really funny, or, you know, she's really great with presentation, or this one just reads from PowerPoint, so you kind of might need to do something else on your own. You can turn anything into good advice, okay? But also remember, they're people, instructors are people. A lot of it is also personalities. Go in there and don't run your mouth. Don't. There are some just competitive people, or people that just want to challenge others. And it's all in how you do something. If you attack, if you're attacked, you're going to come back attacking. It's just a human response. So how you address an instructor, well, that's not what we do where I work. Or, you know, it's all in how you say something to someone as to the response you're going to get. Some instructors just may not be big people person. They might be very bright, but they may not interact well with others. It's a personality thing, but it doesn't mean that they don't know what they're talking about. So you'll get to learn how to approach an instructor. You can, you know, raise your hand and say, I'm sorry, you know, for some reason, I'm just not getting this. Would you mind going over it? And they very well may say, no, you should have read it. You should have got it. Okay, I'm sorry. And you might feel crushed and bad and embarrassed. But I guarantee you, other people in the class have the same questions you do. I have found 9 times out of 10, the instructors like it when you interact with them. They like it when you are asking questions, because it means you're paying attention. It means you want to learn something. And don't ever let an instructor make you feel bad about asking a question, because this is school. This is what you're there for. If you have a question, they are the ones teaching the class. They are the ones that need to break it down in a way then that you can understand it. Some people have troubles with that. My daughter had a teacher where she would ask a question and they would just say it the same way. They couldn't think of a way to re-explain it. And you'll find a lot of times your classmates will help you with that. You know, they'll be like, try not to talk during class, but, you know, during lunch, say, did you guys get this part, or what? I didn't quite get that. I guarantee you, others in your class, there is going to be someone who understands that information and can give it to you in a way that you're going to remember and comprehend. And there's going to be many ways that people remember information and it just clicks and works for you. Word recognition, rhyming, association. There's so many different ways to retain and remember information. I have a learning strategies video that I did a couple years ago, and it's in my pre-reqs parts. So look that up because it helps a lot. But listen, make your own evaluations about your instructors as long as you are early. Do not be showing up even 5 minutes. They will close the door. They lock the doors. Your first couple days, they might give you, okay, you know, tomorrow I'm not going to let you in. You're going to have to wait till the door opens for a break before you can come in. And some instructors may not even give you that. They may just, we'll see you next class. So set your clocks early. My watch is 10 minutes early. Or fast. The clock in and it drives my husband crazy. The clock in my car is 10 minutes fast. It's so I'm early. I'm always early anyway, but now I'm even more early. But by being early, you can kind of establish the seat you want to sit in. You can kind of establish where you do well in a room. I like to sit like 2 rows back towards the center. I find if I'm on an end or way in the back, it's harder for me to pay attention because I'm distracted by other things. So I know what works best for me. And you will find nursing students, we are all that A-type personality. We are all overachievers. We are all hard on ourselves, and everybody wants the front. This is not normal classes. Everybody wants the front. So, you know, it's just kind of, you know, be there early. So if you're there early or on time, if you're professional and respectable. You help others. You know, you keep to yourself. You don't argue. There's nothing wrong with making an appointment with your instructor later to talk about certain things. Just shouldn't be said in class. If you have a problem with him or her, you know, that should be done separately. You need to be a professional, and so do they. But, you know, you can make a time with them later on to discuss more personal issues. But I was in the band and all growing up, and my teacher said, he had a saying, and he said, to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. To be late is to be left behind. So that was mostly when we had to go do performances and such, and that I lived by that. Well, I was raised military anyway. My mom always had us places like an hour early. It was ridiculous, but I'm not that early, but I am early. And when you have children, things come up, and you normally just run late. So if you could really focus yourself to set a time, if you're meeting classmates and some of them run right on time or borderline late, tell them half an hour earlier. It works. Okay, so I even do that for myself. Okay, let me see. I wanted to cover instructors, study, and organizing myself. You all have seen what's in my nursing bag, my videos. That's what I organize myself. I have all of my junk in like a little makeup bag. You've seen that. I have pretty much one binder that's divided because you have so many nursing books now. To have separate binders was just kind of too much for me. Some of my classmates preferred smaller, thinner individual binders for each class. That worked better for them. I tab my chapters. So it's quick reference to something. I don't have to sit there and just fiddle through flipping pages trying to find a certain chapter, certain page. I have them tabbed. That really helps me a lot. I do have highlighters and colored pens. I have lots of tabbies and post-it notes. Those are just things that I know helps me succeed. So look at those videos again. Like I said, I just keep one folder with pocket organizers like this. They are tabs, but they also have pockets on both sides. So I'm able to keep like my printed off PowerPoints in one, and then on the back side any additional papers that they give me, any notes I write down of things I need to do. I do a lot of sticky notes on the front, like due by whatever. If I can't put it in my planner right then and there, and a planner is vital. I have to buy a new one for this year, but I will show you the same planner. That has never changed for me. That works immensely well. So I hope this helps. Rate, comment, and subscribe. You know, put down below what works for you. Put down below if I didn't cover something that you're a little nervous about, but you know what? My grades went up and up and up with each class by doing the things that I mentioned today, and it was a lifesaver for me. So hopefully I can just continue to, you know, keep those grades up. C's do get degrees, absolutely, but you know, if you want to do internships or externships, unfortunately they still look at GPAs as well as other things that you belong to and that you do. They want that well-rounded person. And so, you know, keep in the GPA, but don't kill yourself. Do the best that you can, and use these tips because they really do work. So thank you to all my old subscribers and new subscribers. I get so many every day. We're just growing and growing and growing. We're a team here. We collaborate here. We share here. And I want this to be a good place, a comfortable place for you all to be. That is my intention, is to just help and give my advice, what works for me. Take it if you think it could help. Use bits and pieces of it, or just say, you know, sorry, Robin, this one, couldn't really use, but this what works for me. I learned from others as well. I do not know everything. I am old enough in my many years to know you learn something from someone every day, no matter their age or their status in the world. So, love to you all as always, and I will talk to you later. Bye.